Good morning out there, traders. It is May 14th, 2024, and welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. Let's dive into our recap first, then we'll update our session plan and levels for today. So this is obviously our 8:30 news that came in this morning. So kind of looking at what happened yesterday from here back, we had a DMI that was pretty straightforward with the expectations on what was going on in this area. If we were able to get above this neutral zone, we were looking for more upside. If we were unable to get up, through this neutral zone, we were looking for more of a choppy market and a pullback into our line in the sand. So what ended up happening there, we got the full pullback into the line in the sand with only really one trade opportunity based on the DMI. Trading this down move was possible, but you'd have to have a pretty good intraday framework for it, and you'd have to be pretty good at the intraday landscape, which we don't present here. It's more or less the contextual analysis of what we're doing with the DMIs. It is not the evolving market read as the day continues to go forward, because not everybody has access to the tools that Nadro traders do. So what we present in these DMIs is the contextual landscape in the morning and kind of an understanding of where things could change and evolve from. So what you're seeing here from yesterday is we had this kind of neutral location that was critical to the upside. In other words, if we were going to see a really bullish day, we were going to hold above that. Since we didn't get that information early in the session, we just kind of continued to rotate back down, back into our line in the sand where we had our main scenario with scenario one here, with one opportunity really coming into the end of the day. Not getting a ton of MFE in terms of, the move coming into the close, but a decent amount of MFE and a nice little opportunity there coming into the close. And that was about it for the whole entire session for what we were kind of planning and expecting from the analysis. But the analysis, spot on. Couldn't get above this, got the full rotation back to the line in the sand where we kind of have the low of the day there. And, high of day and low of day based off of our references. So pretty good stuff from our planning and our preparation. So now today is a little bit more complicated, and it's only more complicated because of the volatility that came in with this news. The problem is the acceptance picture around what's happening is right now not in the best of locations. So let's talk about that just a little bit here. What's our main line in the sand? Our main line in the sand is still this area, but right now it's neutral. It doesn't have a very strong bias to it because essentially we've moved back and forth through it a little bit. So the precision on this area is lacking, but the general area still maintains the same ideas. In other words, this whole area is bullish on one time frame, right? And then as we kind of drill down to our other time frames, we start to get a much more clear picture around this zone here being bullish on other time frames. So what we end up seeing is in the short term, right, with this list of this area, what we're kind of looking for is if we hold this zone to the upside, we're more bullish in the short term. And if we get this opportunity here, things get a little bit more bullish up into this zone here where we're going to test kind of the highs we put in yesterday. And this neutral area still maintains the same type of situation that we had yesterday, where if we're going to get a more bullish day further upside, we're going to need to hold up above that neutral zone for continuation, right? So at this point, our line in the sand area still is relatively the same zone. And as long as we hold up in this value and then possibly clear it out, we're in a more short-term bullish environment, okay? Now, from a longer-term perspective, those time frames are still in bearish locations as well. So for us to see any type of bearish shifts, we'd have to get down below this area, right? So we'd have to hold below this zone and be looking for stuff down below here to come test this volatility that we put in at the 8:30 news. All right, so that's kind of the overall landscape. So breaking this down into scenarios, scenario one is holding up above this area, going right here to the first target, which we're kind of doing right now. So we're in scenario one, a little bit more short-term bullish at this point. If we get this move here, good continuation opportunity up to the main neutral zone there. And then we'll talk about continuation further with scenario one. We do have some upper neutral areas that we'd be looking for as general targets, kind of moving up into here, and then a possible traversal up into this zone as well. All right, so that would be the stretch kind of targets, the more extreme scenarios for a very, very bullish day. Okay, so that kind of puts us in that situation there for the bull side of things. If we can't clear this out, we remain rotational on the very short-term environment. So in other words, if we just hold this area and rotate back down, the area becomes more rotational, and then we're looking for holds on the bull side to come back up, and that's kind of the expectation in that zone. Okay. Now, with scenario two would be a full breakdown of this area. So if we start to see this kind of situation where we break it down, hold below, continuation to the downside. The first target would be this neutral zone. Then we'd be looking for these lows to get cleared out and continue down to the next neutral area and so forth. And that's kind of the way in which the scenarios break out today. All right. So this area is still the general line in the sand for what we're looking for out of the session today. The problem is the volatility has kind of shaken up the precision around this zone, but the general ideas are still there, still intact. All right. So trade well, mind your risk, and let's get after it.